Hello and welcome. I'm Charles Aite. Let's start with our first story. Government has been charged to focus more on efficient tax measures in order to achieve the 2021 revenue target. Now, this is coming on the back of fears that revenue may suffer this year following the indefinite suspension of the reversal of the benchmark value policy on some imports. Government is targeting about 100 billion cedis from tax revenue and grants in 2022. The finance consultant, Dr. Daniel Sedo, and economist Professor Peter Ghocta have been sharing their thoughts on PM Express Business Edition with George Riafi.
The challenge really is the way we look at these things. There's no difference between us and government. We are all working for the same interests. You need the government needs the businesses. So how do we operate as one unit and be very efficient? Prof talk about efficiency. If you look at this economy, a major problem is efficiency.
Both government and businesses.
Unfortunately, the public sector injects the private sector with a high level of inefficiency. We can debate that. So in my view, the government agencies should be working with the companies. Prof talk about record keeping. Sometimes they don't even understand the issues. So GRA, so far
I think that understanding the tax system is a hell for a lot of these small, medium-sized enterprises. It's not a problem.
It is.
You work in a lot of companies, you advise a lot of companies as well.
Yes, it is. So GRA should set up a unit where they go help some of these institutions. Now, if we are efficient, manage our costs very well, our profit will go up.
The government comes in terms of taxation, in terms of regulations, in terms of providing utilities, constant supply of utilities, and many others. And in all of this, in the midst of COVID, in the midst of the pandemic, you ought to strike a good balance. So taxes, for instance. How do you pay your taxes in this environment? Luckily these days we've gone digitalization, so it's much easier to pay or file your tax online. But it depends on the revenue flow as well. Are you making the right amount of revenue that you could pay your taxes? If not, then you ought to get your accountant or whoever to show your books in a good manner. So keeping proper records is very critical in this moment. Otherwise, if you don't have the records, the taxman will estimate your revenue for you, and that can put some people or some businesses in trouble.
Well, you first heard Dr. Daniel Sedo, a financial consultant, and Professor Peter Ghocta, an economist and director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, speaking to George Riafi on PM Express, the business edition. We'll still stay with the ports because as the government begins broader consultation into the benchmark value, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Ghocta, has admonished its leadership and other parties, including the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, to put aside selfish interests for a win-win situation for all stakeholders, including government. Speaking to Joy Business, President of Ghocta, Dr. Joseph Obin, says the association is venturing into discussions with an objective standpoint and not an entrenched position. Well, the AGI, as we do know, has urged government to remain unwavering in its decision to implement the reversal of the benchmark value discount policy. It argues that maintaining the policy at its current form would lead to the collapse of local industries and job losses. As it stands now, though, the Ghana Revenue Authority has suspended the implementation of this reversal of discounts on benchmark values until further notice. In a statement issued on Thursday, the authority said the decision is to enable further engagement with all relevant stakeholders. Well, let's go on Zoom to get in touch with Dr. Joseph Obin, President of Ghocta. He joins us. We're grateful, sir, that you could join us. Well, of course, you have made the point that both parties should enter this broader engagement with an objective mindset, setting aside selfish interests. But the AGI is very resolute on their decision. Of course, it's entering the discussion with what it considers a scientific reason why the benchmark value must be reversed. Take a listen to the president of the AGI, after which we have our discussion.
it's an economic model distortion, such that if this is reversed, we can gradually go back and then go back to manufacturing, and you see the profitability of this being reversed will encourage every entrepreneur to do what we call the backward integration, whereby when you are selling rice, you gradually realize that it's now more profitable to produce local rice or aid the local rice farmer to package, polish, mill the rice and sell on the local market and possibly export. So we do not seek to look at the unreversed position. And I can ask you to look at the 2017-2018 various indices on agriculture and the performance with the support of the fertilizer subsidy, what it happened in the era of 2017-2018. Look at the data. And then look at what happened in 2020 to 2021. Look at the data. The effect, time has been the best teacher. Look at the data and to tell you that if we do not reverse this, and as we proceed, it will worsen the plight of our country and more jobs cannot be created. Seriously, we've come to the point that some of our the other groupings are not doing scientific research to back their engagement. They only pick up a mic. Fortunately or unfortunately, we have journalists put the mic before them and they rant, and you don't hold some of them to statistical proof. We have been engaging the Ministry of Finance, and I've showed you our submissions to the Ministry of Finance with subsequent what we call the monetary barometer report that we do. We have data to whatever we are doing. So therefore, hold their legs to the fire and ask such questions and drill in and see what their research units are telling them. Compare this also to institutions like ISA and other academia and find out whether AGI is out of place or the others are out of place. So we drive the mother Ghana again.
Well, so Dr. Obden, you've been listening to the president of the AGI. He cites two major factors. The fact that, their decision, their entrenched position of a sort is based on scientific data. The fact that should the reversal be delayed or, withdrawn, it's going to have a very dire impact on local industries. You're saying that they must enter this particular discussion with an open mind, leaving behind, in your terms, selfish interests. What happens if these interests are backed by scientific data?
Yeah, they were not able to tell us how the reversal of the benchmark reduction value will help them to be competitive. So they were not scientific at all. They could not tell us how self-sufficient the capacity that they will have to produce so that every Ghanaian will be catered for. They were not able to do that. They were not able to tell you that what happened in the past when government have done similar thing, they failed to deliver. So how scientific were they? They were just rambling, like the word that he used. But I don't want to go on that tangent again. We've moved on because we sat with the finance minister and we all gave our reasoning, and they are clever enough to weigh, to put it on scale, and that's why government have come this far. They always talk about giving employment. When we put the table down, it's agriculture that is number one, trading number two, transportation number three. Where is their position? So government have the responsibility to cater for rest all, but not just for a few. So the scientific things that is bantering about is hollow. It doesn't make any meaning to what we are discussing now, because we was not able to convince Ghanaians that when the benchmark is reversed, their prices are going to go down, and that they are going to increase their capacity, they are going to be efficient, and all that. Those are the scientific things that we want to hear. Now we've gone past it. Government says, wait, let's hold on. Let's engage with all stakeholders, because we have been engaging with you alone. Now let's listen to other people in the private sector and all so that we can come with a very logical conclusion.
All right.
And then you are saying no. It means that they are being entrenched, and that is not fair. Because we have to put the nation ahead. For the trading community, we are very humbled with the gesture of government, and we are grateful for what government have done, and that we are going on this negotiation with open mind. We are going to be very objective to make sure that government is compensated. AGI industries are also compensated, as well as the trading community. We also being compensated with the consuming public. That's the mindset that we haven't, and we are pleading with the AGI to also come with an open mind without being entrenched, as is being shown, depicted. Because if they get entrenched, nothing also stops us from getting entrenched, because we are all part of the nation. So it shouldn't be said that one side was listened to against the other. All that you are saying, he did not prove anything.
All right.
Because he only confirmed that the benchmark was even good for them, because they are telling the government to maintain the benchmark policy for them. So if it is good for you, why is it not good for? Because we are not taking duties away.
All right.
Duties have been there. Duties is so expensive, even at the old dispensation, the present dispensation. People's goods cannot be paid. So duties are high. All that government did under the benchmark reduction is to give us some respite. And that's what they are finding difficult to understand.
All right.
It's not fair. We are
right.
also part of the nation
right.
burden. We pay our dues, and we deserve better like they do.
All right, but beyond this particular, argument, of course, we do know that development at the port remains challenging for importers. Freight charges. Help us understand the updates currently, especially when we've seen global supply chains, mainstreamed in the wake of Omicron variant.
Yeah, that's why we put our case across to government when we met the finance minister. Unfortunately, he's aware of all those indicators. The fact that freight charges have gone up extremely high, that commodity prices have gone up to unbearable levels, and that's even we reminded him the fact that they increased taxes during the previous budget and all that. And so it's not that easy that we can go ahead and put on more layer of cost of doing business. And they also do understand. And much as we also appreciate the problem of government, especially in the wake of the same COVID that is associated with government, that they are finding it difficult to also have the resources to manage the country. And so we are going with this open mind, and we are going to also listen to the sentiment of government, and then also make concessions so that government can also have some leeway to manage the country. We are very, very conscious about that.
Great, Dr. Obin, we're grateful that you could join us with your submission on, the broader stakeholder consultation between yourself, the AGI, and government as well regarding the benchmark value. Well, moving on to other stories, a recent report has listed 5 subsectors of the energy sector poised to experience accelerated growth in 2022. Now, these are oil and natural gas drilling, natural gas pipelines, mining, renewable energy, and transmission. Of course, what does this mean for Ghana's energy sector? We have energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Sulemana to help us understand this. We're grateful. First of all, the world is shifting to renewable energy. Does this change the narrative in any way?
Yeah, thank you very much, Charles, and good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your cherished viewers. It's good to speak to you again.
Sure.
Yeah, Charles, it does not change the narratives in any way. Yes, renewables are coming, and they are coming at the speed that the energy community has to be well prepared and positioned, to be able to accommodate that. Now, the fact that renewable is gaining traction, the fact that renewable is gaining momentum, and it's not a secret that renewables are gaining momentum, doesn't negate the fact that, going to 2022 and beyond, we're going to have some kind of investment drive into the world of hydrocarbon. And it's going to be hinged on certain things. There will be some headwinds anyway, but it's going to be hinged on certain things, provided this oil price stay as it is. Because investment in the world of hydrocarbon is closely or highly hinged into the prevailing prices that we have. And I can tell you that, for the last quarter of last year up to now, even beginning of this year, oil prices are taking bullish turn, serious bullish momentum. As now, even not Omicron was able to, stampede this momentum that the oil price is gathering. We are talking about 85 and beyond. So as long as the oil price stays higher, and as long as OPEC remains in control, I don't think the upstream side is going to be cooling down at any time soon, and that has cascading impact anyhow.
Well, others could have doubts, regarding this particular session that you've raised, because last year, for example, we saw in Scotland, the world superpowers pledged their commitment to, dealing with the climate crisis, as the U.S. is also halting funds to companies involved in fossil fuels. How will this affect getting financial support from international companies in this regard?
Yes, you are spot on, Charles. And that's actually the headwind that I was talking about. Despite the fact that we have oil prices taking bullish momentum as I speak, investment is still constrained. And the reason why investment is constrained, the powers that may be, or the powers that guarantee this kind of investment, the World Bank, European Union and other areas, these are the people who guarantee funds to be invested into the world of hydrocarbon.
Exactly.
Now, these players are gradually shifting their focus into the world of renewable green energy, and that's what they're seeking. Now, it's going to be difficult, and we have to be very careful. As long as the world of renewable is not able to deliver to the end user at competitive prices or at competitive rates, and as long as hydrocarbon continues to remain relevant as it is, and I can tell you that hydrocarbon is going to remain relevant for some time to come. And the reason why I'm saying that is the fact that renewables have to become competitive. That is the acid test. If renewables become competitive, there will be a natural shift. Nobody needs to cut investment in any way. But what is happening now is counterproductive. I'm saying that it's counterproductive because it will increase overall in the cost of energy in the global community. And that's what we are seeing. Because supply is going to be constrained gradually.
And we shall see how this one plays. We shall see how this one plays within the upstream industry, especially when we're having specific pressure from these international organizations regarding the green financing and its replications here in Ghana. But Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, we're grateful that you could share with us your thoughts on this. He's an energy strategist. Well, you're still watching the marketplace. Still to come in the bulletin, AFCON 2021, a slow start by the senior national football team at the ongoing African Cup of Nations, affecting patronage of Black Stars branded paraphernalia. Traders are banking their hopes on tonight's game against Gabon.
The selling of jersey before we started the tournament, it was going on a while. But since we lost our first match, they've lost interest in buying, patronizing it.
During the time of assembly.
And let's see how things go this evening at 7 p.m. when we play Gabon. We're just hoping for the best for the Black Stars. Of course, that's how we end this edition of Marketplace as well. I'm Charles Aite. Many thanks for watching.